I think I took 1 damage on the first stage and got a C. Like, it was aggressive. Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where 3 guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Nolan.
And this is episode 480. And the question of the week is, what's the best split-screen game of all time? And are we all going to say the same one?
Probably.
On 3? For the first time, please.
Oh, it would be. Should we try this every time?
Yeah, until we get it, yeah. 1.
Then let's get it on this first try.
1, 2, 3, golden.
Halo 2. Nolan, you were so close.
Yep.
How in the world did y'all go Halo 2 instead of golden?
It is
Because
14 times better at least
I will give him that.
than GoldenEye.
No. Nolan said me and my daddy played GoldenEye and
every day.
And that's why it's the best to me.
It's the best. Halo 2 is fine, but Halo 2 was better because you could, in that era, have your own TV, but you couldn't do that with GoldenEye.
It is a less required split screen experience. I do understand that. It hadn't left that era though.
No.
And did split screen well enough to be the proper answer to the question regardless.
Do y'all want to try again on 3?
No, it's too late.
No, yeah, you already ruined it.
Suck.
Yeah, let's try one more time.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. GoldenEye.
Portal 2.
Why are y'all saying it so late?
I didn't say anything because I knew somebody was going to change something.
And we're saying it at the right time. There's a thing called latency in our studio. Yeah, I said Portal 2 for this next one, which is also a really, really good entry.
That is a great answer.
Although I haven't played it split screen or co-op.
Yeah, in my mind, it's not a
co-op.
co-op game. I know it can be. Like, absolutely. Like, that's a me thing,
Wait,
not a
Dustin.
game thing.
Do you want to play that game co-op? You would absolutely love it.
I would. It's got to be a different game, right? Because if not, I mean, I have known all the puzzles in the past, and with 2 people, I feel like it'd just be easier.
It's a different game, I think. Question mark. Keep me honest, viewers.
There's got to be
I don't know.
some differences to it, right? Because
I'm sure different puzzles
Yes.
there have to be.
They-
Or
they
you
solve
each
it
get
around 2
half of the
people.
gun, one or the other.
Yeah.
well, I'm
So
sure.
it's-
Yes, I would. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
That would be really
for
good.
sure. And I think it's probably been long enough that you nor
Completely
I
forgot.
remember all of it anymore. you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Halo 2 was maybe the only split screen game that I played with y'all in like IRL and in real time as it was a thing.
We played online with some
Right,
PC servers where every single person in there, including us, were hacking.
But Kenny and I in college.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
we
Y'all
played
actually did.
on
In
the
my room.
line.
And we haven't played GoldenEye against each other or together or with each other.
No.
Because I wouldn't
in
waste my
person.
time.
Oh, okay. Now, see, no, Kenny, I was on
crazy.
your side, and then you say something asinine. These split-screen titles might be fun and all, but they definitely limit your vision and might take the wind straight out of your sails, like in our Retro Game of the Week, Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament.
Overview.
Our Retro Game of the Week is Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament. It is our first Klonoa game, and it's not to be confused with Klonoa 2. Did you know
Correct.
that?
Right.
Lufia's Adventure or something?
Lunatea's
Excuse me?
Veil.
Lunatea's Veil. Lunatea's Veil, yeah.
Luffy is a different game that we have
I
played.
just remembered it was an L and then I made something up.
Yeah.
Why
so,
would they do that?
they're not
Klonoa
the only
2.
one that's done that before. There's other series that have had handheld number. I mean, Final Fantasy, right?
Sequels,
Didn't
yeah.
they have Final Fantasy? No. Was it Final Fantasy that had
Probably.
the Roman No. There's another game that did like Mega Man. Mega Man. That's what it is. Mega Man 5
yeah,
and Mega Man 5 are 2 totally different games.
It's
Game
not
Boy
hard
version.
to understand. In the first Klonoa, he becomes a champion, and then they give him the honorary last name 2.
Okay.
And so now it's Mr. 2, and it's a series of games, and it's just a subtitle after his name. Easy.
They do make like comedy classes that you can take.
Oh yeah. Should we raise money? That's a Patreon tier.
Oh, is this
Oh,
an
I would do it.
intervention?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
We brought you here today.
Just for you.
Well, my
if
main
we're
thing is-
spending money on an intervention, y'all can spend it better than that.
I don't think. Okay. We could send him to comedy classes, but my main problem is I don't think he thinks through the thought before going the direction. And
no, I know.
I think he needs to give it a little bit of thought to see where it's going to end up and if it's going to be worthwhile.
No.
And if people were going to laugh.
Well, right.
That's an important part.
No. The point is not to make people laugh.
See, that's your problem. You really believe that. The point,
That's the problem.
the point is to make yourself laugh, right? That's what you think.
No, the
Nope.
point is it's not really a point.
So then we don't know what comedy
The
is.
point,
Okay.
the part of the point is to play his role. That's
Oh, he's a role player.
we're
Scottie Pippen.
entertainers, and someone has to
Dennis
put the
Rodman.
tain and entertain. That's all that's
And
happening.
of course, I'm Michael Jordan.
The game came out in the year 2002 over in Japan, and it took a few years to come out in North America. It wasn't until 2005 when the game was released over here. We kind of already gave it away. It's for the handheld.
He was flapping his wings across the Pacific.
See, there's that comedy.
Yeah, so after that talk, you're just going straight into one?
You all asked for it.
We did. They did the exact
Just
I
opposite.
wait.
didn't ask for anything.
So
Look in chat really quick.
as I said, it is a handheld game. It came out on the Game Boy Advance, and it is a platformer, maybe a puzzle platformer would be a good maybe genre or subgenre
Yeah, I think
for it.
that's accurate.
It was developed by Now Production and published by Namco. You probably know of one of those and likely not the other.
So yeah, we definitely
y'all
know
know-
Namco from Tekken.
Yeah, from a lot of things.
And a
They're
lot
a well-known publisher.
Bandai Namco also responsible. Well, no, that's wrong. That's Capcom. Never mind. They're affiliated though.
Yeah, they've got to be affiliated because I'm looking at Now Production, Now Pro, and they have done some games. Like they had a part to play in Yonoid.
Okay.
Which we're familiar with.
They had
Unfortunately.
a part to play in Klonoa Empire of Dreams. They had
Makes
a part to
sense.
play in a Goemon game on the GBA.
Oh, we've played a Goemon game on N64, I think.
Here, I'll go to GameCube for you, Nolan. They had a part to play in Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut and
I love that
Sonic
game.
Riders. Oh, really?
I actually love that game. It is a version of Sonic Battle Adventure 2, the director's cut.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Other PlayStation titles. Yeah. Katamari Damacy.
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 Am I the one that says it wrong?
I don't know. But Now
No one
Production,
knows.
Namco, I think there's a relationship there, and then I think they've got their hand in a number of titles. This is the third game in the handheld series.
Oh.
So,
What? How does that make sense?
yeah, Kenny, how does that make sense?
I mean, it's the third game.
But there's a 2 in the title.
In the handheld series. So there was Moonlight Museum. It was no, that's for the Wonder Swan. There's Empire of Dreams. That's for the GBA.
Yeah, that's the first game.
Beach volleyball. No, that's PlayStation. And then Dream Champ Tournament.
Is the second.
No, I already said a few.
It's the third Klonoa. Are all the Klonoa games handheld? No. because
No.
One of them came out on
PlayStation.
PlayStation 2. It's not. I think you're confused. I think it is the third Klonoa game, which happens to be a handheld game.
Oh.
The third Klonoa game, which happens to be a handheld game, and the
Correct.
second in the handheld series.
Yes. The first one was also on GBA.
The first handheld one.
The first handheld one was also
The
on
first
GBA.
Klonoa was on the PlayStation.
Now,
The
I
first-
said last week,
The first handheld game was not on the GBA.
watch this.
He's
watch
making
this.
another joke.
No.
I'm saving us. Moving on. Could have sworn I played this. We
Really?
played this.
Yeah, you
I
said
looked
that
into
when it
it.
got pulled.
I looked into it. I have no idea why I thought that.
You never got there this week as to why?
No. Maybe
It's-
a game I personally played. It was like some sort of platformer on the PlayStation 1, but it wasn't Klonoa, so I don't know.
I'd bet it was just something with the name, because there's something about, I don't know, Klonoa that just evokes not a video game to me. I don't. It's a
Because you were
strange name.
you heard Klonoa and you were like, don't you know?
So you didn't think?
Well, I
Um,
should take the comedy class too.
Yeah, neither
That
of
was
my
good.
guys are thinking through things before they're talking, and this is a blanket
What's the
apology.
story?
Wishbone. The story is Garland is a tournament sponsor hosting the Dream Champ tournament in order to decide who amongst the adventurers in the Empire of Dreams is the greatest hero. Klonoa, some dog / rabbit / cat hybrid,
It's none of those things.
all of those things on his Wikipedia. Go look at it. Got an invitation.
Tell me which one of those things flies with their ears. IRL.
Cat. When you combine them all, that's when flight takes place. Got an invitation, Klonoa did, to join the tournament, and he is set on winning the tournament. He doesn't care about the monetary gain that might come along with winning the tournament. He
So noble.
wants to become the greatest hero of all time.
It's just Hunger Games if it was designed by Sanrio, the Hello Kitty company.
I mean,
Because
I
then you
like
don't have
that.
to explain what this animal is. But he does look like one of those characters.
From what again? From
Sanrio.
Hunger Games? The animals from Hunger Games? The mutts?
Yeah.
Quick reminder that the New Game Plus podcast is entirely supported by your contributions on Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you can support your favorite retro gaming podcast and also get really cool perks like early access first plays, 2 entries into Patreon pools, unedited episodes, all kinds of cool stuff is on there. If you want to check it out, all you got to do is head on over to patreon.com/NGP podcasts. We so appreciate your support.
Gameplay.
Side-scrolling platformer on the GBA means that screen real estate is a factor. However, GBA was wider for sure, and so this game, while going to the right like a platformer does, it didn't feel that confined. And because of that, you mentioned, Dustin, that this is somewhat of a puzzle platformer, and I would agree with that description. In this game, you are mainly trying to escape the levels and doing some light collecting along the way. The big difference here is that this is almost like a pacifist kind of game. Instead of jumping on enemies' heads or shooting a gun at your enemies, you have this unique ability called Wind Bullet. And it is a projectile that you kind of throw out and it's at an enemy, and instead of killing the enemy, it grabs them to be used in multiple ways. The main way being a double jump. So get more height to navigate throughout the stage. And the stages are very much designed around that main mechanic.
These enemies do hurt you if they walk into you, and there's spikes on stages like there often are on platforming games. But yeah, you can't really, I mean, the only way you hurt them or damage them is by using your wind bullet to hold on to them, and then you release them or shoot them. And so if they hit a wall, hit another enemy, then they explode, but it's no problem because reincarnation, they come back almost immediately.
It's like Metroid spawners. You know how in Metroid they have like those enemies that continuously spawn?
Yeah.
That's what it reminded
Yeah.
me of.
To some degree, the way these enemies function, in the fact that you're using them to progress and solve puzzles, not just like to fight them and kill them and then they don't die, they're back. It almost makes it feel like they're a part of the level rather than an enemy proper. I mean, like a part of the platforming experience itself.
Sure.
You know, they're almost more stage dressing than they are bad guys. You still can't get hit by them, but it's almost like it's an interactable, I don't know, puzzle to be solved more than just like you versus the bad guys. And that happens in a lot of different ways. It happens with the double jump, but then you get enemies with all different sorts of mechanics, and it's your primary way of kind of learning new skills to progress through the various things blocking your path.
Yeah, if you're following, then you might be catching on to what I feel like I kind of caught on to during the first play. In platformers, I either want the character to evolve or the stages to evolve. In this one, it's more so the stages. The character doesn't gain new abilities per se.
Right.
It's the enemies on the stages that gain new abilities. It's a very unique way to do this, and you're doing the same thing. You're using your wind bullet to manipulate them, but because of how those enemies operate differently from one another, they provide you different mobility, throughout the stages to be able to solve the puzzles or do the platforming.
And different complexity of puzzles as well. I think one of the things this game does really well is it starts relatively simple, and then the ramp up of what you have to solve and how hard it is to sort of full clear everything and find it all, as well as the complexity of literally sort of pulling off jumps. Like at first your enemies are really easy to get to. By the time you're at the end of the game, you've got to like jump off of one enemy and grab another enemy in midair, and then take that same enemy and throw it down directly below you on a double jump to like land on something else that's going to then move you across the screen. And that seems like too much, but they teach you how to do each of these things in a way that even though what it sounds like I'm describing is a really hard platformer, I never felt like this game was punishingly difficult. But the complexity ramp up was really well done. The difficulty ramp up was really well done, and you went from an easy game to I thought a pretty decent, interesting challenge kind of over time as things got more and more interesting.
One of the issues with that design, though, that I feel like you run into about, well, maybe midway through the game, is there's a little bit of backtracking because of that. Because you need an enemy in order to accomplish a goal. Break a box, for instance, they'll throw like two paths in front of you, and you kind of have to choose, and it might not be the right one. One might lead to one of the stars, which you're collecting 3 of, and then one might be the way forward. And so a part I'm thinking of is like a conveyor belt that's like in the middle of the stage with a bunch of spikes you have to dodge. You have to like go back and get an enemy on the other side of that thing and then take it to where you need to. But it's not, I don't think they do that too much, but it is something that you run into when you have a game that is this like simple, when it's not about combat and it's not about your character evolving.
They generally give you lots of enemies to work with. There are definitely some places you have to do a slight amount of backtracking, but it's just because they like have to put enemies in really specific locations to make some of the puzzle interactions work, you know. And we say puzzle interactions as if, or talk about these enemies as if they're the only thing that's going on. There's a lot of other interactable kinds of things that are on the stage. You have, you know, cliffs you got to jump up that you have to certainly use the enemies to get over. You've got one-way gates. You've got collectibles you need to collect. You've got items on the stage that you're having to move around and then interact with after. You've got breakables. So really, it's a lot of stuff all working together. And it's move this thing here to grab this thing so I can break open this specific thing, which then gives me the thing I need to go through this the back way. It's a hard thing to describe without it sounding, I don't know, kind of asinine. But like, they're actually really cleverly designed
Second
levels,
use of
I
that
thought.
word on this
Is it?
episode. Yeah.
It
By
was in your
me?
head because I used it earlier.
Yeah, you primed
Yeah.
me.
Gross. We've said collectibles a few times, but we haven't really talked any more at length about it. So in each of the stages, I was about to say most of the stages, but even in the boss stages, I think there are these collectibles. So you have, in most stages, 1 sunstone to collect, 3 moonstones to collect, which,
Yep.
by the way, the moonstones are in the shape of stars.
Stars, I call them stars.
Yeah, but they're moonstones.
Well, sure.
I'm just telling you the terminology.
I don't
Those
have
are
to call it that.
you have 30 dream stones, and
Correct.
then you can collect and use keys like you normally would through locked doors, or hearts to replenish your hearts. I think that's about it. The only thing that's mandatory to escape the stage are the 3 moonstones in the shape of stars.
Yep. And you do get a rating at the end of the stage based on what you've collected and damage you've taken.
And there's one other, the
time?
retry. How many times you've retried, which is the worst.
Oh, yeah, because why is that a metric? Why would you care about that?
Because if you don't collect them or you take damage and you want to get an S, then you want to retry, but then that's a penalize you, and so you have to get out and go to the world map to get back in. It's that's poor design. I'm telling you, that's poor design. I would say that. Yeah, I would say that.
It is. But you did get an S rank in one of the early stages. Because it's documented.
Pro and it's easy. I think I took 1 damage on the first stage and got a C. It was aggressive.
How do you even get an A?
It knocks you down really far, quickly.
I will say that I did not feel the need to get S ranks this week.
Oh, why? You didn't want the wallpaper uncovered all the way?
No.
That's what it's teasing you with at the end of each stage. I think we're calling them stages. That's not what this game calls them.
Visions?
They're visions.
Don't know why.
Too, by the way, there's
dude, there is a bunch. There are 5 worlds. Each have 9 visions.
That's crazy.
That's crazy for a handheld game. That's a lot. This is a long game.
Stages.
Right.
Yeah. They're full on. They're not holding back.
Right.
That's a lot of game.
But yes, it's unveiling this desktop wallpaper of image of the first ones of some of the characters.
It's a female Klonoa.
No, dude,
it's like a sexy
it's not
female.
that. It's a pinup, a Klonoa pinup.
Yeah, I thought so. I just didn't feel like doing all that.
What game are you playing?
It's not.
Klonoa
it's just wishful thinking.
Dream Champ tournament, yeah. I just didn't want to do that. Completing the stage was enough for me. Yeah. I do think it's interesting that the moonstones are required to progress. Usually in a platformer, maybe a key, which you said there are keys and doors, but that's not the escape. The escape is getting those 3 things. So there's some exploration to do, and I think they designed it okay for that.
If you do go out of the way or work hard enough to get all of the sunstones, not the moonstones, but the sunstones throughout the entire game, and
the blue things,
and you beat it and have collected them all, you're going to unlock some bonus levels for yourself.
Hey, the EX
Even
stages.
more?
Yeah, the EX stages.
Yeah, there's a lot here.
They're EX stages, so does that mean that they are versions of existing visions, just harder maybe, or maybe they just called them EX
I
stages?
think they're brand new stages.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't get that far, but they.
Yeah, you have to
another
get
pinup.
all the suns. You have to get all. No, yeah, and perhaps another pinup.
Perhaps.
There are a few different kinds of stages. I would imagine you came across some of them. So you have the stereotypical puzzle stages, which we've talked a lot about already. And Kenny has explained that you do this thing to move this thing to go this thing to do this thing.
Hey, it's an important. It's saying really vague.
Yeah.
Things helps people picture the game, since this is a podcast and they might not have played along.
There are 2 other kinds of stages. One is an action-oriented stage. The manual actually calls them puzzle stages, action stages, and boss stages. Boss stages we'll talk about, but action stages, the one primarily that you come across is kind of this Sonic bonus stage kind of thing, where Klonoa is running away from the screen, and so it's not left to right scrolling
or towards the screen.
Absolutely not. Oh,
it does it both ways.
Okay. I didn't swing. But yeah, either runs towards or away from the screen. You're still collecting all of those things as the screen is scrolling towards you or away from you. And if you retry, you're being punished for it. But it's less of a puzzle. There's no puzzle to solve there other than what route you need to take.
Yeah, there's a little something extra. And then the boss stages, I think, are pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, they don't all operate the exact same, but most of them are a race. Like you're
race, yeah.
The general thought
reminiscent
is
of
you
like Kirby.
racing another champion. Like this tournament that you're in, this is what it's driving towards, is You
Yeah.
facing off against a specific, not enemy, just another champion,
Hero.
and you're
They're called
beating
heroes.
them or not in this ongoing tournament. At least it seems like it's a tournament. Spoiler alert.
Wow,
Things are
dude.
not what they seem.
And you are racing from left to right to the end of the stage while collecting all those things, but you can use some of the enemies that you are using to navigate the stage to also either load into a cannon or throw at the competitor to slow them down, temporarily stun them or something so that you can move ahead. You have to stay ahead of them the whole time, because if they get ahead of you, you lose immediately.
I mean, that's
And
how races
you
work.
are
Oh, it's
Nope,
not
that
at the
is
end.
not Kenny.
No,
Apologize.
I didn't hear what you said.
Because you don't listen and you wanted to argue.
That's not exactly what happened.
I accept your apology.
He didn't say I'm
I
sorry.
did not apologize.
Aged.
For a handheld title, this is a fairly girthy game.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned how many freaking visions are in this thing.
It is on
45?
how long to beat 45 what? Oh, visions.
Stages.
I thought you were going for hours.
I mean, it
I
would
was
probably
like,
take
you're-
me 45 hours.
Inefficient, Nolan.
This is on how long to beat, about an 8-hour game for the main story.
That's beefy for a handheld.
Yeah, it's
for
beefy.
sure.
It's also
Yeah.
pretty impressive. I didn't get to really experience this week because I didn't play handheld, which I could have. Auto saves. Did you notice there's no save function? It auto saves after stages.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
You didn't get that a lot on
No,
GBA.
I'm not
if
used to that.
Any.
Yeah, I'm definitely not used to it. I'm used to like manual saves, obviously. But thick game, robust game, a lot. And here's the thing. Like kind of we mentioned earlier, there's even additional content. So with the ranking system, although I'm not a big fan of how they went about ranking, it gives you something to return to the stages, because maybe the first few stages you're going to collect everything on the way through, but at least by world 2, maybe world 3, you're going to be challenged a lot more to just kind of complete the stage rather than get everything in the stage. The place where that's going to become even more frustrating is in some of those action stages, trying to get all of those, because the hitboxes are woefully inaccurate. Either they're not diamonds or crystals, but those stones needed to have a larger hitbox, or your character needed a larger box, but it's easy to miss those.
There's also the moving stages. We didn't talk about those as much, but the stages where the whole world is moving.
That's tough too.
And so you have to do all of this puzzle solving, but quickly. So you really only have like one shot at most things.
Yeah,
and
one
so
opportunity.
that one was the type of stage I found myself being the most willing to just like pass things and not care.
Yeah.
But would come back and play them if I was trying to do like a perfect playthrough or collect all the suns or whatever.
Also, worth noting, it's not relying on the first one all that much, unless you like super care about story. This one I was a little concerned about, because not only is this the second handheld, we've established that there were not many, but there were other games like on the PlayStation, and I don't love jumping into a series on the second or third or fourth entry, but like, doesn't matter. I don't know what the other games are like, but
this is such a standalone story. Literally, all they do is briefly reference the first game to show that you're a hero. And then they kind of just set up this whole thing that is happening for all of the champions in this world, and it's its own self-contained thing, until there's a little bit of a twist and things go south. But that's nice. How did you guys feel about the amount of story content? Because early on, this game almost feels like it wants to be an RPG or something.
there's a lot of text up front.
There
Not
is
a lot.
a lot. There's so much
lot.
story up front. There's cutscenes. There's still frames. There's text. There's a lot going on up front to really set this game up. I cut it almost all out of the first play. Just so much.
And then you just jump in, and it's just a platforming game.
Right.
Like,
it's
fine,
like you
and
didn't need it.
I don't
Yeah, that is
mind
kinda weird.
that it has some. Like, it's great to dress up your world and have some story, but it felt almost a little excessive.
Mega Man Zero, GBA game, platformer, lot of story. I wonder if there was like a trend, like if people were making games like this on the GBA for some reason.
Yeah, but that one is a lot more a lot closer to like an RPG than this one.
Oh, for sure. But
Yeah.
at its heart, it is a platformer.
Yeah,
but
Sure, but it's more
This
an
one's not a
action
combat
game,
platformer, though.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
In
this
my
one's
mind,
not.
They feel distinct.
This one, as much story there is, it's not really telling a story. It's just you're just platforming. You're in a tournament. You're platforming.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing. GBA graphics hit or miss. Now I've now gone into the category of hit or miss
Hit.
just because. Yeah, I know a lot of times. But with Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament, hit. I think all the
Hit.
graphics look
Yeah.
really good, except for Klonoa. I don't think Klonoa looks that good, but I think all the worlds are rich, vibrant, well designed. I just think Klonoa, he on especially the action stages, at least the forward backwards one, he's so small and feels paper 2D. I don't know. I didn't love the design. Maybe it's just the design in general.
The overworld maps also felt a little like
pixelated.
pixely sort of to me, and the rest of the game didn't have
overworld.
quite as much of that look to it. They were fine, they were serviceable, but I those I also kind of wished were a little bit nicer. Do agree, it looks good. All of the worlds look very different. All of the elements of like the things that you're platforming with are distinct, but also very visually clear as to what they do. A lot of your elements on here are like interactable kinds of things, and so if there's a spring that's going to make you jump up if you land on it, you need that to be really clear looking at it. If there's air that's going to lift up your character, and sometimes you have to put something heavy on it to block it to be able to access a thing, it needs to be clear that's what it's doing visually. And so it needs to be both functional and look nice. And I think they pulled it off well here. All of the worlds matched their theme. It was clear to me what was going on. I wasn't lost, even though there were a lot of things on the screen I needed to do. Overall, I thought the graphics were really well done.
Yeah, they're great. And another thing on that point, Kenny, about making things clear, they included this feature where you can use the shoulder buttons to look around the stage, which is actually a huge component of the game in terms of like being able to see where you need to go and what you need to do. And I thought that was a nice quality of life feature that they didn't have to have, that a lot of games probably wouldn't have put in there, but it was nice.
It was. They also did a great job, and you guys might have thought it was heavy-handed because there were a lot of them, but of like continuing to overtly teach you as they added new elements. It wasn't just to like figure it out. You had your little buddy, and I know you got a lot of him, and at some point you probably quit reading reading his little tips. But for the most part, I found they were really welcome and gave me a sense of what was happening and what I needed.
Because you need assistance.
Yeah, a little too handholdy for me. Like, you're gonna figure it out, right? Like,
There could have been
much there.
30 to 40% less, but a few of those mechanics are a little bit needing explanation. So I would rather them do too much than too little.
And I like how they implement it. You don't have to talk to the guy. You can figure it out yourself.
It's optional. If you've played the game before, you know all this stuff, or you want to just like trial and error your way through it, you're welcome to.
Did you like the music?
Who? Me?
Yeah.
Sure.
I did like the music. I just have no reference point for this character, so for the graphics, for the music, they're both great. But I just didn't know what to expect in that department. But I didn't think it was going to be like Mega Man good, but it was good.
Yeah. Do we all think it's fine, good, fits the game, not very memorable?
Yes.
Yeah, like always.
I mean, sometimes things are very memorable.
You just named Mega Man.
Memorable, no. Good, yes.
It didn't stand out in a bad way, but it also didn't stand out in a good way for me either, but it fit. So, yeah.
Did it feel, this is kind of just side note, with all of the anime-styled games that we've been playing lately and the anime-themed podcast that we've actually turned into, did you feel like it was to that? Because it doesn't have an anime or a manga, so I think we're in the clear here. But did you get any of those vibes, or was it just cartoony for you?
No, senpai.
Nope. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I didn't. No, of course it's not anime. It's a it's more like
Cartoon.
Sonic than anything. It's just like an animal character. It's not anime.
Do you think there's fan art of Klonoa like there is of Sonic? Probably.
I've got it pulled up right here.
Don't put it in chat.
Check chat. Actually, I've dropped it. Copy paste that.
Kenny, you didn't get anime vibes. You were fine.
No,
Anime
I
vibes,
didn't.
what do
I'm
There's furries on the front. We already had
That's
this
not a
conversation
furry.
last
Is Sonic
week.
a furry? Is Tails a furry?
Also, anime and furries not the same.
Right. What are we on?
Yeah.
Kenny's not even answering.
No, I'm
Kenny,
not.
What's
dealing
the
with
last
y'all.
anime you watched?
He doesn't want.
I
He's
don't
not
think I've ever
watching anime.
actively watched an anime.
Sailor Moon.
Like ever.
You have seen one.
No,
I mean, I've seen like elements of one, like in the world as
he's
they
never watched.
happen.
Why would you think he would do that?
But I've never like sought
Did
out
you
one
finish
to watch.
I did not
Death
finish
Note?
Death Note. No.
Did you
I think
quit?
I don't know. I might finish the first
You
season.
quit.
Anime's not for me. I've decided.
Oh wow.
Unless Avatar: The Last Airbender is anime.
Some would say that.
If so, then I have watched some.
There are other games in the Klonoa series. We've talked about it. This is the third. This is the third handheld or something. But there are two main games. They are on the PlayStation and PlayStation 2. Then there's a remaster of both of the games that came out in 2022 for all 8th gen consoles. So, yeah.
What?
Weird.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. And then there are 5 handheld entries. This is either the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 1st, or 5th. It's one of them.
You
If you-
decide.
If you if you would like a copy of Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament for your GBA, it's $60 loose. That's used, loose, played,
Wow.
ran through. $200 complete in box,
Can we not say ran through?
and $255 new.
Wow.
Dang, you want me to pay $60? You ran through this game.
Yeah, no, senpai.
Don't.
No, senpai.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. Kenny, what did you think of K2 DCT?
K2 DCT is actually a very easy yes for me. It's unique and fun, but without being punishing. I just really, really clicked with the core gameplay mechanic of this kind of interesting puzzle solving. Sometimes I felt clever, sometimes I felt challenged, sometimes I felt like the developers were clever, but there was just always something that had me going like, huh, or like, oh yeah, that's a cool way to do that. Ton of fun. The character's name is awful, and I hate the title of it. He sounds like his name's an STD, and also the ears flapping is just not a way to do that. Tails exists. It can be done so much better. Despite that, I thoroughly enjoyed this title. Yeah, I think most people will love it. If us calling it a puzzle platform scares you away because you feel like it's going to be too, I don't know, thinky or cerebral, don't let it. Like this, it's a puzzly, but it's like adventures and you're figuring your way out through this platformer. It's not like it's a true like puzzle experience. So
It's more like
I don't know.
Bomberman.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a clever little stage interactions, and I had fun, and I think most people will have fun. Unique. NGP 5, sure.
NGP proceeds to rip Klonoa a new one. Anyways, this is what Kenny just did. I don't like this game, and I'll tell you why. Where I think it worked for you, Kenny, was in its simplicity, but then they get creative with the puzzles, and they do. I think the game is too simple, and it doesn't have enough depth to keep me engaged. And I respect the fact that there's kind of this one central mechanic of grabbing an enemy and using it as a jump and to throw it. But I don't know. When I play a platformer, I'm looking for more. I'm looking for my character to power up, or like really intricate, interesting bosses. And here it's the boss fights are kind of just more of the same. You just have to do it quicker than the NPC. So yeah, it was an easy yes for you. It's an easy no for me because of that, because it's a little too simple.
That's one yes and one no. Power is in my hands. I agree with both of you to some degree, and I find myself somewhere in the middle. Klonoa 2, some of its beauty is in its simplicity. So I do think it's a unique way for platforming. As Nolan said, I typically enjoy a character that evolves and changes, gets new abilities, double jump, all that other stuff that helps make a good platformer, or the stages evolving. You get a little bit more of the latter here, but it's kind of a third category where of a game we haven't really, a style that we haven't really fully played, and then I don't know what other games are quite like it, where it's the enemies are doing the evolving that allow you to platform a little bit different. But I will say that even with that, there's not enough newness and change from stage to stage. It just felt like more of the same for too long for me, that I do think that this is not a bad game, and I think there are going to be some people that genuinely like it. I wouldn't think that there would be many people that this is just a great game, top 5, top 10 material, even on the console. But and where I do agree with Kenny is Klonoa himself. Bad design. Come up with a better. Says the guy that disliked this game the most.
Yeah, y'all are hating
But
Klonoa.
come up with a better Klonoa design. I don't think Tails is the answer.
No, it's not. It's actually like that's how low the bar is.
Oh, but come up with a better design. Come up with some way to change up the gameplay some and to keep things fresh. It just felt a little stale a couple worlds in, and I wasn't inspired to continue playing any longer. So, Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament does not get New Game Plus from me, which means Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament is not New Game Plus certified. But what did you think? On our YouTube poll, we had 24% say yes, Klonoa 2 is worth playing today. Only 2% said no, go play something else. And 74% have never played this handheld title before.
Thank you, YouTubers.
We praise you.
We praise you.
I am nervous because only 2%, I don't know about 2 people, but 2% said no. And that is what we ended up saying.
Yeah. So you think that our community is probably going to roast us?
Let's find out what our community has to say. Well, I don't think they're going to roast us because I don't think they know yet because we're recording the episode right now.
Right.
But once we release this, they're going to know.
Oh, yeah.
Super Gamer Guy said, Klonoa 2 is pretty good, though it lacks the X factor to keep it up there with the best of the GBA's library. Good puzzle design and a nice aesthetic carried my playthrough, but the music and lack of meaningful collectible rewards left a lot to be desired. It's no Samurai Kid, but I'd still give it a soft NGP. P.S. Every stage gets more fun when you ignore the gyms. Yes, even the boarding stages.
Ignore the gyms, so get a F on your report card?
But honestly, there's something there, but also that means bad game design. Because you do have to get the 3, right?
Yeah.
To be able to escape most stages. But if you just ignore the rest, maybe it does make it more fun. But then what are we doing?
That's a design flaw,
it's not,
right?
Right, because it's not a expert platformer. What makes the platforming fun are the puzzles.
Okay. Well,
in this game.
Good point, but still, that doesn't help the game's case any.
Hamburger Dad said, this game was everything you could want for a platformer at its time. Although the story is lackluster, it makes up for that with its creative puzzling. I found myself having to think about how to properly navigate stages a bit in the later levels, which speaks to its nice difficulty curve. Although I at first wanted there to be power-ups to make Klonoa flutter better or shoot farther, those concerns were quickly overcome by the enemy/tool variety. This platformer was perfect for its time. and holds up today. NGP easily.
Easily, huh? I wonder if the same goes for Klonoa 1 on the handheld. The GBA one.
That it's NGP easy, or that like just kind of same?
If it's the same for whoever wrote that. Like if it's the same kind of game and quality, or if they upped the stakes on the second one for some reason.
Also, don't ever forget Hamburger Dad's name, please.
Hamburger Dad? Yeah, I don't know how I forgot that in the first place.
Shane said, played the first 2 console games in the remake collection a year or 2 ago, and they showed me to expect some pretty good puzzle platforming when I see Klonoa's name, and Dream Champ Tournament did not disappoint. The plot is really just a thin veneer of an excuse to have the game, but ultimately, I think that's fine. Going for completion is fun in its own right, though collecting all the gems on the boarding stages gets old quick. So yeah, if someone's looking for something lesser known on the GBA, I'd possibly give this a shout. NGP from me.
Yeah, so people are mad at us.
Yeah, well, they will be. That's 3 in a row. we're still recording the episode.
Yeah.
That's 3 in a row, and I often am picking somewhat randomly, but even as I was glimpsing through all of the commentary,
it's like 2
I
thumbs
don't know
up.
if I saw. Yeah, no, I don't know if I saw one that said no.
Interesting. I would think Garlisle of all people would say no.
Well, hey, you summoned him, so let me read his commentary.
Read it.
Garlisle said, Klonoa on GBA is fine enough, actually, though it's lacking the emotions and 2.5D pop of the original games. It still brings a steady flow of new toys to its extremely simple puzzle platforming core. Yeah,
too many P's.
A lot of P's.
Okay, so
and then,
fine enough. That's
right.
I
know.
Little negative.
But coming from Garlisle, that
it's
is
actually
still
praise.
somewhat praise. And then finally, Tins said, I've always wanted to try this series out, and I'm glad it's finally been brought to the forefront. K2 DCT is nothing short of a delightful handheld experience. Did you hear those 3 words? Delightful handheld experience. It can't be understated, this game oozes charm. In true GBA fashion, you've got some of the best graphics you can find on the system, complete with brilliant backgrounds and colorful cutscenes. The puzzles are so much fun and provide quite the crescendo of a challenge.
Right,
the music, while perhaps not the most memorable, is really good and reminds me a little bit of the Pokemon games from this era. Add collectibles, fun bosses, and cute but cool Klonoa himself, and we have a game that's really hard to dislike. I've been around since episode 420, smoke it, and of all the games I've been able to play along, Klonoa 2, Nolan, is in my top 10 NGP-worthy titles.
So that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Because we're 400 something, right? And it's also
10 started at 420, so a much smaller pool. But still.
Oh, then yeah, it's almost
that's
not
only, I guess, what, 50, 60 games, something like that?
But I will say you're wrong, but it's okay. You can like what you like. I just think those are some pretty fancy words for a pretty mid handheld title.
Wow. Well, thank you for sending in your thoughts on the Retro Game of the Week. You can do that each and every week to ngppodcast@gmail.com or hop into our commentary channel on Discord. We'd love to include your thoughts as a part of our episode this next week. For now, it is time to put Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament aside and randomly select the next game that we're going to be playing for the next 7 days. 15 years old or older, any genre, any console, from our Retro Master List. Games on there submitted by you, our loyal listeners. Randomizing now. We're going to be playing a game that came out in 1994 for the Super Nintendo.
Great. Could be amazing.
It's been a minute since we played a Super Nintendo title.
It has been. Yeah, I feel like it's been a really long time.
I'll never complain about a Super Nintendo game.
Well, we'll see. This is a beat 'em up, which Super Nintendo has. No. That's where some good ones are.
It's not my favorite genre.
Yeah.
There's
Fair.
potential there, but like it's not getting me hyped. Whatever.
Arcade is safer for that genre. Well, we'll say that, but SNES had some good ones.
Agreed.
I don't know if I agree. This was developed by Natsume Co. and published by Taito in Japan and North America and Titus in the EU.
Okay. All right, that's good. Taito.
It is a follow-up to the 1987 arcade game of the same title. There's where the arcade comes in. When I first searched for this, based on the name alone, I thought it was the 1987 game. Went back to our retro master list and confirmed it's actually a Super Nintendo title that was submitted. So we are playing the Super Nintendo version, spawned from following up from the arcade game of the same title. Shares similar gameplay. We are playing for the next 7 days the game, The Ninja Warriors.
Kenny, what is that?
I have no idea.
It's a
It's
generic
a very uninspired title. Yeah, it's like the most like canned title you could ever come up with.
But beat 'em up can be fun.
No, and ninjas are awesome.
Ninjas
Just,
are
like,
awesome.
Conceptually. Yeah.
We'll
let's see.
Find a copy and play The Ninja Warriors, the 1994 video game, along with us this next week.
Isn't that also a TV show? Join us in Discord. Go to discord.gg/newgameplus.
You can also support your favorite retro gaming podcast by not just playing along with us, though we'd love if you did, and not just listening, which we know you're doing right now, but by supporting us financially. You can do that on patreon.com. You'll be joining folks like our director level supporters, Bro Jim, Siegfried, Tins, and Sasser, and our many, many producer level supporters. Folks like Alex, Marlene, Antonin, Ben, Cody, Craig, Dagany, Dan Willett, Garlisle, Hallex, Harold, Hey Brother, J. Robert, Jake Jordan, Justin Klin, Lapidius Landris, Levi, Maxima, Megatroid, Miss Muso, Not Enough Dog, Rad Max, Sagen, Scotty, Shane, Shauna, Snagmatic, Spinning the Jet, Stephen Fox, Super Hybrid, Swaggy Taco Fish, Psycho Mantis, Thomas, Turtle, Unbedavable, and Zion. We are so appreciative.
You can find us on our social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get Newman GP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our episode artwork was created by our friend Dave. Our video episode was edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play The Ninja Warriors. Until then, I'm still one Sunstone.
I'm the other Sunstone.
Tomorrow comes.
No, I'm a Moonstone. There's only one Sunstone.
Which is what I said. And
Okay.
this has been New Game Plus.